Okay, here we are. I'm talking to Emma today, and I am really, really excited speaking to you because we've been working together for half a year. Incredible,
Yeah,
but 6 months is
so
almost
fast.
went so fast. But I'm really excited speaking to you today because you've had really, really incredible progress, incredible results, and I find that it's so inspiring for other people to hear other people's stories. And that's really my main goal, to inspire people by listening to other people's stories. So thank you so
Yeah,
much for sharing
no way.
and being available for it as well.
Mm.
So my first question that I'd like to ask is, so what were your biggest challenges when you came to work with me? So kind of what was the reason why you reached out?
Well, I have always been very overweight. I have tried everything, countless times, all the slimming clubs, all the diets and restrictions, even to the point of having gastric surgery. I had a lap band back 10 years ago when they used to do them on a semi-regular basis. It broke a couple of times in my stomach and so didn't work. And I realised that I needed to change my mind because all I was trying to do was change my body. And I needed to change my mind first. So I saw you advertised on Facebook and came along and met with you. I was a binger. I was what I call addicted to food. I ate a huge amount of sugar and carbs. Although I kind of knew how to eat properly, my eating had been, I guess, influenced a lot by the likes of Weight Watchers, where everything has to be low fat. It wasn't keeping me full, and therefore I would binge. So yeah, that was kind of where I was when I met you. Pretty
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. And what were your main goals? What is it that you wanted to work on?
Um, I mean, obviously the physicals, like I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to get down to slimmer so I could exercise, and then I know that would exercise is good for all sorts of things, but that was kind of what I wanted. Um, but I've been thin before and just eat my way back up again, and I realised that being thin didn't fix my head because my head was still screwed up about food, whatever weight I was. So I needed I tried everything but looking at my relationship with food. So I guess that's what I needed to do. I needed options of what to do because binge eating just wasn't going to work.
Hmm. Okay. So what is it that you wanted to achieve? So that you've mentioned the weight loss, you wanted, I understand, the binge eating. So what is it that you wanted to achieve?
I wanted to get down to a comfortable weight for myself. I never had numbers on the scales. I just wanted to lose enough weight to be able to ride my horse. That was a big one. Yeah, I had my goal of riding my horse, and I just wanted to be active. I have two children, a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I wanted to be active with them. So those were my goals. And I guess to have what I used to call a normal relationship with food. I looked at my friends who were just like they could go out and eat, have dessert at a restaurant and didn't feel like they had blown and had to eat everything on the way home as well. So I wanted to get a more, what I consider normal way of eating.
Yeah, normal way of eating. Yeah. So, and that's where you were at the beginning. So now 6 months down the track, where are you now? What is it that you have achieved?
Well, I have lost weight. I haven't been on the scales, but my clothes, I've dropped a couple of dress sizes, definitely. My clothes are definitely looser, and I've been able to buy new clothes for summer, which has been lovely. I have been infinitely more active. Um, my body losing even what they say 10% or something, it makes you, just that first bit off makes you feel really good. So I've done that, but I think the biggest change has been the lack of obsession over food. So food used to be the first thing I thought about in the morning and the last thing at night. It's not like that anymore for me. I feel more in control with food, and not because I'm restricting it, but because I have a plan of where to go when I feel a certain way. Yeah.
So what's your plan where to go?
well, I used to, both on my own and when I was in the slimming plans, it's a lot of distraction or ignore, run a bath, girlfriend, go for a walk. And they work to a point. But when the distraction in the bath and the walking runs out, the feelings were still there. So I guess what I learned through you was to feel those feelings and be more comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings.
So it's a lot of emotional management that you did, right? So learning to manage emotions in other ways other than using food to distract, to comfort, to avoid them.
Yeah, because I used food for everything. If I was sad, I ate. If I was happy, I ate. I was typical comfort eater. But yeah, I did, and quite a lot of our sessions over the 6 months have not been about food. They've been about my life, my goals, uncomfortable feelings that I may have, which kind of surprised me, I guess. I kind of thought, we'll talk about food the whole way. But once we had worked out the food thing, it was so beneficial to talk about the other options, the other things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's what I see over and over again. There's only so much we can talk about food. Right? Once we know the framework, once we know kind of what feels good for us, once we can trust our body.
Changing our volume so I can hear you better. There we go.
Yeah. So once we know, once we can trust our body again, right, and eat intuitively, and which was the process for you, following the framework that we've discussed, and then, like you said, for you, I want to emphasize you lost weight without going on a scale. You lost weight without actually focusing on it. It was a byproduct of learning to manage emotions in other ways, right? It was a huge one. Following a framework that works for you, where you don't feel deprived, where you don't feel hungry, and feel satisfied with food.
Yes, I think that was a big thing because the latest one I had gone onto was Weight Watchers, and Weight Watchers has got a new plan, and they say you can have these things and there's lots of free foods and stuff like that. And so that was supposed to be the most non-restrictive one, but even that felt restrictive because I couldn't have. And I remember when you and I first started, we did the fats and proteins and things like that, and then I came to you saying, I'm really craving in the afternoon, and certainly most weight loss things I have been on say, fight the craving by doing this. But you said, well, why don't you just have a couple of pieces of dark chocolate? I was like, oh my God, okay. So I start that, and it worked because if I felt like chocolate in the morning, I could just say to myself, oh, it's okay because I'm going to have it at 4 p.m. No big deal. And my body just kind of went, oh, okay, you're going to have it. That's cool. And it didn't slow down my weight loss or anything at all.
Exactly. So one is weight loss, which continued, and the second one is, like you said, because your goal was also to have a normal relationship with food, whatever that is for all of us, right?
Whatever that is,
yeah. And what it feels like, that's what you're experiencing.
Yeah, it does, and it's really cool. It's cool not to have to worry so much of that, not to feel so up and down. I was one of those on and off personalities. I was either on and dieting or off and eating everything that stood still. So it's nice to not feel like that anymore. And I mean, like people say, take all treats out of your house and things like that. Well, I couldn't because I've got a 5-year-old who goes to birthday parties and brings back lollies and wants an ice cream and stuff like that. So knowing that I can have that stuff in the house without, and if I want one, I can have one, but I don't feel like I have to eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing.
Yeah. And I also find when we're working on a healthy relationship with food, like I call it food freedom, right? To avoid having those foods in the house, to me, that's not freedom.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, you cannot, if you live under a rock, you cannot avoid food. I mean, it's on all advertising, and I think if you know that you can have it, you often don't feel like it. but because you always want what you can't have. But if you just tell yourself you can have it, and and then have it, and then you just kind of get over it, you don't have to feel, because a lot of the guilt was like having a lolly or chocolate or something and then going, oh, I'll blow it, I'll have to just eat the whole packet of chocolate biscuits. And that was it's exhausting thinking like that.
So all or nothing, right?
It's a completely exhausting. It's an awful way to live. I did it for fun.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it that you would say, and you've mentioned a few things already, and I'll try to summarize it at the end. What is it that you would say really helped you when you had the food cravings?
I always took notes when I was with you. Even if I wasn't taking notes in front of you, I would go afterwards and write down notes. And I typed them up. I've got a little book, slightly geeky of me, but I did that so I could always refer back to it. Meeting regularly with you really helped. Eating protein was a massive thing for me, and fats. So when, like for dinners and stuff, I was always like, okay, I have to eat, well, not have to eat, but I'm going to eat vegetables. I was never a big vegetable eater, but no, I'm going to eat vegetables. And to me, they tasted really crap until you said to me, well, why don't you just add fat? Add something yummy, add some butter or coconut oil or something with a bit of flavour, olive oil. And oh my God, they tasted so much better that I actually look forward to it. So I think, to answer your question about cravings, the cravings went away because I was satisfied at my meals. They didn't go away, but they went away a little bit, certainly more than they were. Yeah. And when I did have big cravings, well, I could look at myself and say, well, is it something you're actually hungry for, or is it something, I'm feeling this feeling. Okay, can I just feel it and kind of let it go, just park it? Or do I need to? But if I really, really wanted something, well, I just had a bit. No big deal. And then I moved on. I think that was the big thing. I moved on.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, this is a good one. So adding fats, adding protein. Mm-hmm. So you got more flavor.
Yeah.
Right? Because fat is the main flavor carrier. Mm-hmm. So you started enjoying your food, so feeling satisfied, right? Mm-hmm. And then also, I remember you said integrating like chocolate, for example, into your diet, right? Mm-hmm. And also knowing, okay, I'm going to have it anyway. And then in moments when you felt like, okay, I actually really this is really what I'd like to have. So I physically am craving it rather than emotionally. You allowed yourself to have it, and then you moved on because your mind knows I can have it anytime I want it if I really want it.
There's nothing worse than thinking, oh, I literally can't have it again. I mean, that is the most depressing thought. I can't ever have a piece of birthday cake. I mean, it's never going to happen, is it? No one's ever going to say that. Yeah, especially with Christmas coming up. Who's going to say, yeah. But yeah, so it made a big difference doing all those things. Yeah, you summed it up beautifully.
Awesome. Okay. So what would you say or suggest to someone who has this uneasy or unhealthy or difficult relationship with food? What are kind of the three things that you would suggest that you feel like that was the most tangible tools that you've applied and that really helped you?
Adding the protein and the fat is a big one for me. A lot of people add protein, and that's just standard. But adding fat was big for me because it adds flavour. And often the unhealthy foods that you're craving are full of flavour, or full of what I consider flavour. I know some people can eat celery and go, it's so delicious, but that's not me. It needs chips or something. It needs. So that was a really big one. Adding fat, not being scared of it. Regular contact with yourself, I think is massive because it keeps you on track. But it's different than on track, like weighing yourself. That's different. Weighing yourself, I found, like if people do that on a regular basis, it just, if you put on for whatever reason, it leads to a lot of guilt. So I think being in contact with someone who isn't weighing you is a really good thing. And probably the third thing is have a plan. Our brains love a plan. I really liked having a plan. I was a bit like you described, getting a fast car and you don't actually know which way you're going. You're just driving all over the show and wasting petrol. really liked planning. That was probably for the other side of life, but the thought of having goals and stuff for eating and then for other sides both really helped my eating side.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like I always say, you need to know your end destination. You need to know where you're going so that you can put into your GPS, right, where you're actually going. So you can take actions that are fully aligned with your goal, where you want to get. Otherwise, you start just doing random things and then keep ending up somewhere. And then when you then kind of stop and pause and think, okay, this is not where I want to be. Like, well, yeah, you never said where you want to be in the first place.
Yeah. And that's what I was doing. I was just kind of, wildly going in all directions. I didn't really have a plan. So it was important, to do that. And my husband benefited, my kids have benefited, we've all benefited from having a plan.
And that's amazing, right? I like what you're saying, and I really liked what you said when I spoke to you on our last call. What did you say? It has become not about food; it has become about my life.
Yeah, it's definitely it has us talking has definitely, and it has become about life. It's not, food is not so all encompassing anymore. It is definitely more about our life, and let's achieve these things. Yeah, it's really cool. I was never a particularly good planner. Oh, and that's another thing that really helped was being organized. So when I first started, and like I'd take your shopping list and stuff and go around the supermarket, I'd have to be organized enough to make sure, because we live rurally. So I can't just pop down and grab small veggies or pop down and grab small meat. I actually have to be organized because it's a bit of a shit for the supermarket. So I had to be organized, and that really helped. Again, that's another planning thing, but they really helped to be organised, to make sure I had food with me. And also you gave me really good options, like, instead of stopping at the bakery for lunch and getting a pie, you said to me, these are the good options of things to get, or, not good, but options that fit the brief.
Yeah. And it's just good to have those options instead of focusing on, I can't have this, I can't have that, I shouldn't be having this.
Exactly. You have to have an option. You have to have something in there, a couple of things that you can have. Because otherwise you think, oh no, I can't stop there. Then you just go, oh bugger it, I'll just get a pie and a donut.
Yeah. But even that, like, we never talked about you can't have a pie or you can't have a donut.
No, we didn't.
Right? We never talked about that. So that's kind of, I really want to emphasize, you can have it all. It's just the choice that you're making, what aligns with your values, what aligns with your goals, and actually what makes you feel good long term. Yeah, and
because the carb heavy was making me very tired, especially in the afternoons. I was getting real slumps, and I found having the protein and the fat keeps me on a much more even keel.
Yes, exactly. So, and that is for me intuitive eating right there. That's like really everything that you've described. I make a choice based on how I feel, and how you've learned how food affects you, and you're making those choices accordingly then as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else you would like to share we haven't talked about?
No, I don't think so. I think you just kind of have faith, give it a shot. I would. I definitely recommend it. I literally done everything, including going under the knife, which I don't recommend.
No, and I see that so many times that people do it, but then it just keeps coming back.
It's desperation. It's amazing what you'll do in desperation. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, but that's why it's so good to know there are other options as well.
There are other options. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emma.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Not a problem. We'll talk again.
Yes, we'll talk again. Bye.
Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.